Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another episode in my Random Wheel Chooses What Movies I Watch series. I'm considering just changing the name of this series to Random Wheel Movies series because it's less wordy. But if you haven't seen any of these videos before, essentially when I'm house sitting, I watch a lot of movies. So for this random wheel, on here are movies from streaming services that I have available wherever I'm house sitting. This time around for this episode, I am only gonna do HBO Max and Prime Video. Last time I did this, I also added Peacock on here, but it landed on no Peacock movies, and also Peacock movies, I'm just not feeling them right now, so we're sticking with just Max and Prime. I'm gonna pull this up in 1 second to find out what the first movie will be. I have 5 nights that I'm house sitting, and I generally watch the movies during the night. However, there is a chance that I may end up like FaceTiming with a friend at night instead of watching a movie, so as long as I get 3 movies, then it's all good, but I could have up to 5 movies. You just have to wait and see. So ignore my other tabs, but here is my laptop that has a terrible cord that only works if it's plugged in, and we're just gonna spin it and see what movie we get. Vampire. This is on HBO Max. If I put it in there as HBO Max, it has an M after it. If it has no letter after it in parentheses, then it is on Prime Video. So this one is one that I added just because it's a vampire film, and it's one that like I considered watching previously, but there was something that stopped me. Oh my gosh. You know how I just said if my laptop isn't plugged in, it will die? Well, my cord got like a little kinked and it like slid out of the slot and it died. So we need to come back on. But this one is an older film, and as soon as my laptop turns back on, I can tell you about this film. I know this one is also a shorter film. I know that it's under an hour and a half. Oh my god, my laptop. So Vampire is not rated according to the internet. It's a 1932 horror/fantasy film that is 1 hour and 15 minutes long. I told you it was short and I told you it was old. I believe this is going to be all in black and white. It says a drifter obsessed with the supernatural stumbles upon an inn where a severely ill adolescent girl is slowly becoming a vampire. So I feel like the pacing on this one might be a little slower. I'm already getting that vibe. I don't think I'm gonna recognize anyone in the cast, but I'm gonna check out the cast anyway. So far, none's looking familiar. Nope, none is looking familiar. Ooh, this is interesting. This trivia, it says for much of the cast, this was their only film appearance since they were not professional actors. That is very cool. And so here's the reason why I haven't watched this one sooner, because I have to watch it with subtitles. It is in German. And I don't think I've ever watched a movie completely in German. I know I've watched stuff about World War II where there is German language spoken in there. I've never watched a movie entirely in German. So this will be interesting to see how it turns out. I'm fine watching stuff in subtitles. It just requires like a lot more concentration. So like I can't ever be distracted by my phone when I'm watching stuff with subtitles, which is why I don't do it a ton. So when you see me in the next clip, I will have watched Vampire and I will be telling all of you my thoughts on Vampire. So I will see you probably later tonight. So I was putting on a little bit of makeup to film this clip, right? And I was like, wow, that wind chime sounds really loud. I just watched that whole movie with the window slightly open. Oops. Anyways, I just finished watching Vampire, and the sad thing is I feel like I enjoyed the process of learning about the film more so than actually watching the film. So essentially, in case you aren't familiar with the movie Vampire, it was a movie that was produced in the 1920s, but it became a lost media movie, meaning that essentially the media for it was lost. It was made originally in French, German, and English. However, they only found parts of the French and the German version of the film, and they were able to splice those parts together to make what we have now, and this was done in the like 1980s, I believe, the version that we have now. Because of this, I think there was some like stylistic changes in order to make the story make sense. Like I was curious if the original version had the long passages to explain what was happening in between certain scenes, or whether that was added because footage was missing, because it sounded like they had to piece together what they had to make it. I also noticed that there were some parts where the audio sounded different, and I think it was like either the audio was missing or the audio was in French when they wanted it to be in German to stay consistent, and so they refilmed it. I think, or the footage might have come like that and been damaged. So I found that part interesting and how they put it together. However, I personally found the movie to be really boring, and I was also contemplating and thinking about the fact that like it's interesting how what was considered action-packed and revolutionary and like a big masterpiece of media in, say, the 1920s is so different from in the 2020s. I found just thinking about that to be really interesting. I think for the technology that they had at the time, they did a lot with it. I don't think that anyone can deny that. They did some great things with shadows. They did things with filming two clips with the same background and then like doing one half and half, because there's this thing that this is one of the things that irks me the most. I don't like when I don't understand things, and there was this thing in the film that I don't understand because I don't feel like it was explained well enough, which is the shadow slash ghost slash separating from your body thing. That was never explained well, and I thought like maybe it's like if you've been contaminated by like the doctor, then you can like split from your soul or something. I don't know, like split from your body, I mean not split from your soul. But then I got really confused because like they were carrying the guy's body in the casket at one point. Well, another version of his body was on a bench and he was the ghost. I don't understand. I wish I understood. I should see if this was a book, because if it was, maybe it would explain it better. One of the things that also didn't work for me in the film, which made sense a little bit because there was very minimal dialogue in this film, but one of the things that didn't work for me is when explaining the vampires, it would hold the camera above a page of a book and you'd have to do so much reading, and it held it there a lot longer than necessary unless I just read really fast, because I would read the paragraph and I'm like, okay, just gonna wait here for like 2 minutes until you move on to the next scene where things actually happen. So I kept getting a little frustrated with that. So overall, I'm giving this one 1.5 stars. I think that it legitimately did great things at the time that it was made. I think it doesn't hold up as well in modern times. Oh, and one more thing to mention is this version of vampires is less of what we think of in modern terms of vampires, but more in a religious view of vampires, especially for the 1920s. And there's things that are like more controversial now that weren't as controversial back then, I guess is the way you'd say it. Like suicide plays a role, and like the view of religion at the time was, oh, if you kill yourself, you're going to hell. So like there's that element to it that's debated a lot more now, I feel like, and it's not as like set in stone fact, but it definitely has a much more religious undertone than a lot of vampire books and media that I've absorbed that are more modern works. So it's not the type of vampires that like Twilight and Vampire Diaries and all that stuff has in it. So yeah, I'm giving it 1.5 stars because I rate off of enjoyment level. However, if I were to rate it off of like if I think it was good for the time that it was made, I would have probably rated it higher because I think there was a lot of like really creative ways that they used the technology that they had available at the time to produce this film. But yeah, I gave a summary earlier about what this is about, like the little one on IMDb, but I'm gonna also really quickly, I like to ramble apparently, I am gonna just give you like my own summary of it if I were to summarize it. So it follows this guy and his name is Alan, and Alan is staying at an inn and he's in this town and he's staying at this inn. Some strange things start going on. First of all, this guy comes into his room and leaves this like gift and says, open if I die. So then it sort of sets him on this journey of like exploring around his surroundings and finding out about these like shadow ghost type things, and he gets enraptured in this world of trying to understand what it all means, and then eventually he gets wound up in the vampires. So yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Okay, so now we have my laptop pulled up and we're gonna find out what movie I'm watching tomorrow. Seberg. This one doesn't have an M in parentheses after it, so this one is on Prime Video. What the heck is Seberg? That's why I added it, that explains it. I just have to see the poster and I'm like, perfect. This is a 2019 thriller and drama. It's 1 hour and 36 minutes long. Great, I love movies under 2 hours long, and it is rated R. So the reason I added it to my list is because Kristen Stewart is in it. It says Seberg actress, activist, adversary. Yeah, so it's nonfiction, it sounds like. Inspired by real events in the life of French New Wave icon Jean Seberg. In the late 1960s, Hoover's FBI targeted her because of her politic and romantic involvement with civil rights activist Hakeem Jamal. I think this is going to be a really impactful story, and I'm hoping that it's done well. Let's look at the cast and see if I recognize anyone else. So obviously watching for Kristen Stewart. Margaret Qualley looks familiar. I can't quite place her off the top of my head though. Vince Vaughn also looks familiar. Anthony Mackie, of course I know Anthony Mackie, obviously, because I'm into Marvel. Laura Campbell looks slightly familiar. So this is based on true events, so I'm really interested in seeing about this. I know nothing about this French person that the movie is about, but I'm really interested in seeing how this movie is and seeing Kristen Stewart performing in this role. I think Kristen Stewart is an actor that received so much backlash, and she still receives backlash because of how she acted in the Twilight films, but I personally think she's a good actor. I read Twilight and then I watched the movie, and when I watched the movie I was like, Bella is literally written like a bad actress in the book. So Kristen portrayed her perfectly in my opinion, so I do really like Kristen as an actor. I've watched a lot of her other stuff and I think she's just phenomenal, and so I'm really excited to watch this one and hopefully I have good things to report. So I watched Seberg. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. I literally just finished watching the movie and I don't remember how to pronounce her last name. If I were to cover my whole thoughts on this film, it would be a 2-hour long video, if not longer. So I need to sort of rein it in and sort of hold in the majority of what I want to say. I'm not going to do a full separate video because I don't think mentally I can handle that. You'll hear why in just one sec. So Seberg follows this actress named Jean, and she is a married woman. She comes to the US for a film, and on her way she has a chance encounter with someone who is very prolific and active in the civil rights movement. She begins to have an affair with him, but the FBI, because they noticed that she has something going on with him, take a deep interest in her. And there's this unspiraling of her life as the FBI invades her privacy and as her mental health declines. So mentally the hard parts is the suicide part. Struggled with that in the past, and then the other hard part is that the privacy thing that I was talking about then spiraled into like rumors and gossip being spread about her in news articles that were very defamatory, and wish I could cover that in more detail, why that's triggering for me and a struggle for me personally, and why I will be spiraling after this video. I feel like this film was less about the civil rights movement and more about the FBI overstepping their bounds and treating people inhumanely in order to achieve their causes, and their causes weren't in the best interest necessarily of the US. I feel like that is the bigger theme and focus of the movie than the civil rights movement. I also think I need to look at reviews of this movie that are written by people of color, because I don't think me as a white person can have a super strong thought on how the civil rights movement was incorporated into this film, but I do have a little bit of concern that it was too focused on Jean and that the very serious things that were happening, focusing more on like the plight of a white woman as opposed to like the civil rights movement, which they had to do because they were focusing on the FBI. I don't know, I just have a really complicated feelings on it right now. I need to do research on reviews from people of color. That's the way that I feel about a lot of things. I can sometimes express my general brief thoughts on some things, but then I need to say, okay, but I need to look at reviews from people who are in the affected community. I feel like that's a viewpoint that most people should take. I think the acting was wonderful, and because of that I think this movie was really incredible, and I think that the real life portrayal of the like FBI and how they ruin people's lives was very, very important to see and was done really well. I wasn't really happy with the way that the cheating was dealt with in this film, and now listen, I get it that like this is based off a real life story, they can't like deviate too far from it, but it's also frustrating that like Jean pits herself as like the ultimate victim for being exposed, which she is a victim in that, right? But I'm also like, cheating is so wrong, and she didn't deserve what happened to her, but she also did something horrific that destroyed families. And it wasn't just her, it was the man as well. I feel like there's that part of it that media in general hasn't really captured, the balance between showing cheating, showing the effects of cheating and being like cheating's bad. So I struggled a little bit with that in the film because I have very strong thoughts on cheating. So I could talk about this film a lot more. I personally need to just like wrap up my thoughts on it because mentally I found the movie to be triggering. It wasn't necessarily like the first half of the movie. It was like as soon as like the tabloids and stuff were spreading false rumors about her, and then she started to mentally decline, like depression wise, that's when I started to like realize that like I don't even know how to word it. I realized that like I need to just not talk about this movie in extensive detail right now, but I think I covered mostly my thoughts on it. Not to say that I'm on like a crisis point right now, just like I recognize the start of spirals and I try and engage in distractions and coping mechanisms to cope with the spirals. So that's what I'll be doing after I finish filming this clip, but I gotta figure out the movie for tomorrow night. So we're just gonna spin this right here. Wonka. This is another one that's less than 2 hours. I love it. It's rated PG, came out in 2023. I feel like everyone and their mothers knows about this film, but let's just read the description and talk about the cast. So this is a film that's obviously the like origin story to Willy Wonka, who you meet in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the book series and in the movies. The description reads, with dreams of opening a shop in a city renowned, is it renowned? Renowned? I don't know. For his chocolate, a young and poor Willy Wonka discovers that the industry is run by a cartel of greedy chocolatiers. Okay, so Timothée Chalamet is in here. I feel like that is a huge part of the reason why this film is so popular. I mean, granted, it is based on like a super popular like movie and books, but like, let's be honest, there's a good portion of people who are Timothy Simps who watch the movie just for him. Let's see if I recognize anyone else in this cast. Olivia Colman, I recognize her, and Keegan Michael Kay. Matt Lucas as well. Though I saw something about Matt Lucas recently that I was like, in regards to Millie Bobby Brown. Yeah, I do recognize some of the cast. I'm interested in seeing how this will turn out. I think it's gonna be a good film. There's just a couple scenes that I've been warned about. Wait, no, wait 1 second. I definitely recognize another person. Sorry, it like started to show the trailer and I was like, I know the Oompa Loompa guy. Am I tripping? Why isn't it showing him on the cast? Hello? Hello? Where are you? Hugh Grant. Why did I have to scroll so far down in that cast list to find him? Oh my god, yeah, I should have looked at the full cast list. But anyways, why wasn't he like at the top of the list? So interested in seeing how this one turns out. I've seen very mixed views on this film. A lot of people make fun of it. A lot of people think that it's incredible. I feel like I'm gonna fall in the middle, but I also don't know, because popular movies are very hit or miss with me. So hopefully I like this one. If I'm being honest, the original Willy Wonka movie is also on the list, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the one from like 80s? Is it the 80s that it was? I don't know. Whatever one that came out in the way past is on here. I've only seen the 2005 version, and I've also read the book. I love the 2005 version and the book of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so I'm hoping that this one will be great, but we'll just have to see. I think I, in particular, have seen a lot about a chocolate scene that there's been very mixed stuff on, so yeah, I think it's a musical as well. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go work on stopping the spiraling, but I think talking about Wonka helped a little bit. But let's go do coping mechanisms. I don't know how to feel about Wonka. I really don't. I mean, I know what I'm gonna rate it on Letterboxd. I just don't know how to feel about it. So first of all, there is 2 more cast members that I recognized while watching Wonka that I didn't recognize from their names on IMDb, because I know them like for their characters, unless like I haven't memorized their names yet. So there's the guy who plays Mr. Oh my god, what's his name? Mr. Bean. He was in it. And honestly, I've never seen the Mr. Bean movies, but I've seen a lot of clips and stuff, so I'm really glad that like I've seen him in something that isn't Mr. Bean to show like his range. I also recognized there was a gal from White Lotus. She was in season 1 and season 3. I don't even remember her character's name. She's the like massage lady, like spa lady from season 1 that's also in season 3. If you know, you know. Okay, so I'm gonna be rating it 3 stars on IMDb. And I think that's going to be like a solid okay rating, and for now that's what it will be at until I've decided whether I actually love or hate this film. The acting was not great. The dialogue was really cheesy. However, as someone who has tried to read Roald Dahl books as an adult, I find that the way it was written, like the dialogue and stuff, is very similar to the vibe that I get from most of Roald Dahl's books, except for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because that one has like a different vibe to me that I really like. So like I think it's really accurate to Roald Dahl. I also think since this is an origin story for Wonka, I'm a little confused like timeline wise, like are we looking at like pre-book? Are we looking at pre the first movie or pre the second movie? Like I'm a little confused on that. The two things that I loved most about this film though was I really loved the set design, and the CGI was done really well. To add on to set design, because some of it I know was probably CGI. It was done excellently. Probably one of the best set designs in a film that I've ever seen. And that was stunning. Like, it was visually such a stunning film to watch. The other thing that I really liked about this film was I really liked the songs. Now granted, some of them are really cheesy, some of them have questionable line delivery. However, what I loved about the songs was you can tell that there are so many just grown-up theater kids just having fun and doing what they love for this movie, and I loved that, and you see that most in the songs, and I think some of the songs are really great. I think Timothée Chalamet is a great singer, and I'd love to see him in more musicals where he can sing, and I love just like more songs with the vibes of Pure Imagination, because the way he sang that song was so freaking good. So yeah, I don't know how I truly feel about this film. There's a lot of things I like about it, a lot of things I hate about it, but honestly it just boils down to probably okay, because I'm guessing that like what I like and what I don't like balance out to be okay. That's what I'm thinking. If you have a different opinion on the film, you should comment it down in the comment section below. I'm really curious to see what all of you think about the film. I honestly can understand the hype for it, but I also can understand all the hate that it gets as well. I'm sort of more in the middle and sort of don't know how I feel about it, but I can say I've seen it now, so I don't think it was like a waste of time. I think that there was cute parts about it. I just don't think it was like as spectacular as I was hoping it would be. So now we're gonna pull out the spinner and find out what I'm watching tomorrow. Before we go, it's not ringing a bell. It almost landed on, I'll tell you what I was about to say in one sec. So it almost landed on this like one Christmas movie, and I was like low-key scared that I was gonna get it because I just really don't feel in the mood to watch it. It has like Chris Evans and The Rock in it, which is funny that I got Before We Go because it also has Chris Evans in it. Honestly, that is the reason why this is on my watch list. So this is a PG-13 romance/comedy. It's 1 hour and 35 minutes. We Love That came out in 2014. I don't know anything about this film except for the fact that I like to scroll through like different movies on different streaming apps, and if I see an actor that I like, I'll be like, add to watch list. And so that's what I definitely did with this one. So it says two strangers stuck in Manhattan. Why did I say that so weird? Like it just started to come out weird. Okay, so I'm gonna start over. Two strangers stuck in Manhattan for the night grow into each other's most trusted confidants when an evening of unexpected adventure forces them to confront their fears and take control of their lives. It has Chris Evans in it, so hopefully it'll be good. Let's take a peek at the rest of the cast and see if I recognize anyone else. Scott Evans, isn't that Chris Evans' brother? Yep, it 100% is. Yeah, it's one of Chris Evans' siblings. So that's cool. I don't recognize anyone else in here, so let's see how this movie is. Hopefully it's one that I like, and hopefully this will be a new favorite, because I take that back. I was gonna say I've had no favorite movies this year. I consider favorite movies for each year to be like movies that I've seen for the first time that are favorites. Technically, I watched the magical movie mode of the first Harry Potter film for the first time. It's a different version of the first film, so that would technically count. And I've also technically seen Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the UK version. So technically, the first Harry Potter film has made it on my list twice for favorite movies, and I haven't had any other favorite movies this year. So hopefully Before We Go will be a new favorite, but who knows, we'll just have to wait and see. I was reading Letterboxd reviews for this movie as the credits were rolling, and I read that it's Chris Evans' directorial debut, and now I feel really bad about what I'm going to say about this movie. Another Letterboxd review that I saw that made me cackle out loud, but is very accurate, is someone described this movie as, well, specifically the chemistry between the two characters, as being like two cousins who want to bang each other but know they shouldn't. I hate to say that's true. I hate to say that's accurate to the film. This movie follows two characters who are both in Grand Central Station when it closes one night. The man is there and he is just playing his trumpet, getting some practice in, and the girl misses her train. And so the guy decides that he's going to be the hero of the night and help her get to where she needs to go, which is Boston. First of all, this movie's just boring as crap. And I really hate saying that, but like, I had such a hard time paying attention to the movie because I was so bored. I also felt like the dialogue was just extremely poorly written. Like, I know that Chris Evans is a good actor. I'm sure that the main actress is a good actress, but the dialogue was so bad that I was cringing nonstop. I also got such bad secondhand embarrassment in several scenes, like in the telephone scenes, like the telephone box scenes, and I also got really bad secondhand embarrassment when they performed. The other thing that I have to say, which is just like really brief, is we don't like cheating. We all know this by now. We know this so much. I am a little torn about whether the cheating is more acceptable in this film, but is cheating ever acceptable? If you watch the film, you'd understand why I have conflicted feelings on it. I'm trying not to spoil the movie, but also I feel like the vast majority of the people watching this aren't gonna go out and watch before we go. I also really didn't like the ending. Like, I was gonna rate this 2 stars initially, and then I got really annoyed at the ending, so I ended up giving it 1.5 stars. I do not like open endings. I do not like endings where there is major unresolved plot lines. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that movie. I feel like sometimes movies and books and shows are just so boring that I don't have a ton of thoughts on them. They're just meh. And I think this was the case. I feel like the only people who should go out of their way to watch this movie and can probably appreciate it are people who are huge Chris Evans simps who just want to stare at his face for the whole like hour and a half or however long the movie is. But as much as I like Chris Evans, I don't need to watch every movie just to admire his face. There's other actors and actresses I could do that for. Okay, so that's really all my thoughts on before we go. So let's pull up the little spinner and get to the movie for tomorrow night, which is going to be my last night house sitting. So this will be my final movie for this video. So we have had 2 Prime Videos and we have had 2 HBO Max, so let's see what we get this time. House at the End of the Street. Is this a horror movie? I suck at watching horror movies by myself. Oh my god, I have to talk fast because we've reached the point in my video where I have run out of storage on my phone, which happens when I film these videos a lot. So, House at the End of the Street is a 2012 horror/thriller movie. It is rated PG-13. It's 1 hour and 41 minutes, and I hope that I like this one because I've only had one other movie that I've actually liked in this video. So this says, after moving with her mother to a small town, a teenager finds that an accident happened in the house at the end of the street. Things get more complicated when she befriends a boy. A double murder is not an accident. So I added this to my list because Jennifer Lawrence is on the film. I love me some Jennifer Lawrence, so I'm really excited to see her performance. Her performances never miss. Let me see if I recognize anyone else in the cast. I'm guessing I'm not going to. Yep, I don't recognize anyone else in the cast, so just watching this one for Jennifer Lawrence, and hopefully this is a lot quicker paced than the movie I watched tonight, and I'm really hoping that I like this one because it would suck if I watch 5 movies for this video and have only one that I actually like. So hopefully this one ends up being a good one, but I need to go work on clearing off some phone storage, so I need to do that before I film my next clip and final clip for this vlog. So I'll see all of you after I've seen House at the End of the Street. It's called House at the End of the Street. So why is the house not at the end of the street? They don't even show the street. The house is in the middle of the woods. What do you mean, house at the end of the street? Show us the street. Show us how the house is at the end of the street. Don't have the house be in the middle of the woods. I'm considering docking down a whole star rating from what I gave this film for that alone. Because, what do you mean it's called House at the End of the Street? If you're gonna call it House at the End of the Street, you need a street, and you need the house to be at the end of the street. very much glad that people on Letterboxd have also seen this issue, because apparently I'm not just like delusional. Apparently it's an actual thing that people have an issue with the film. Also, that tree scene, very much glad that other people in Letterboxd have commented on it, because I saw no face. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. I saw no face. I'm so sorry, I saw no face. Let's get serious and actually talk about this film for a second. So it follows a single mom who has just moved to this small town with her daughter. And the reason the rent for the house is so cheap is because the house that's like just across the way in the woods, so technically their neighbor, but a little bit more distance than normal like suburban houses. The neighbor house had a double murder years ago where the two parents were killed. So there's this like eerie suspense throughout the whole film, and you find out pretty early on a little bit about Carrie Ann and sort of how that plays into things. But it wasn't that this movie was like terrible. I was just bored, and the acting did start off a little rocky at the start, but it definitely got a lot better. I do actually recognize more of the cast than I thought I did. Mainly the main person from the cast that I recognize, the like main guy. I believe his name is Ryan, if I remember correctly. Ryan was actually in The Pacifier, which I never have seen that movie all the way through, if I'm being honest, but like it would be one of those movies that like whenever it was on cable TV, my family would always turn it on and we'd watch whatever part of the movie we were at. So like I recognize the main guy from that. I found it like a little scary, I think because I was watching it Home Alone in the dark, but honestly like it's not too scary. I'd say it's more in the realm of thriller as opposed to horror. And I think one of the things that really frustrated me about this film was the fact that like the ending was super predictable. I predicted it, I think, about halfway through the film. So it wasn't like a bad movie, I just wasn't super impressed by it, and I'm really pissed off at the fact that I could predict the plot twist so easily and the fact that the house wasn't at the end of the street. So for now, I'm giving it 3 stars on Letterboxd. I think just the okay realm. 3 stars to me is either okay or it's like I liked it. So this is more the like 3 stars, just okay. I like how Letterboxd lets you mark not only your star rating but whether or not you liked the film, because it makes it so much easier for the 3-star realm for me, because I can give something 3 stars and if I don't heart it, it's an okay film, and if I do heart it, it's a film that I liked. So unfortunately, out of the 5 movies I watched, I only liked one of them. Not great, I'd say, but hopefully when I do this series again, hopefully there's movies that I like that I get in there. I might even do some of this like just in the summer in my house, because I've taken summer term off and I don't really have many plans, so maybe I'll do some more of the series in the summertime. But yeah, those were the 5 movies I watched for this video. I hope all of you enjoyed hearing my rambling thoughts on them. If you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. All of my other social media will be linked down in the description below if you want to follow any of that. I also have some fun links like my wish list down there in the description below as well. I try and upload at least 1 video a week, so feel free to subscribe to stick around and see my next video. I also have a playlist that will be linked down in the description below with all of my other videos in this series. I've done a few of these videos so far where I let the random spinner wheel on my laptop determine which films I watch. I find it to be a pretty fun series. I think it gets me out of my comfort zone a lot, and it gets me to find films that I wouldn't go out of my way to like make it a top priority to watch, but some of them have turned out to be really good. Like Seberg, I still don't know how to say that. That film like was one that probably I was not gonna watch anytime soon, if ever. So I'm really glad that like this video got me to watch it. It did really mess with my mental health for like a little bit after the film. I recovered pretty well. I know how to like do distractions and stuff, but like films like that are like good films that I wouldn't have really watched just by searching through a catalog and picking a film. So I find that to be really fun to experiment with films this way. Also, my letterbox will be linked down below as part of my social media if you want to see my feelings on some other films. I pretty much give a star rating to every film that I watch over on Letterboxd, and a lot of short films and occasionally TV series if they're listed on there, and then I mainly just do star ratings. But I did leave a little commentary for Wonka and for the film that I just watched tonight, The House on the Street. So yeah, occasionally I leave commentary, but if you want to see like just on a general basis what I'm watching, what I'm rating it, Letterboxd is ready to go, or Blue Sky. On Blue Sky, I have a thread that I continuously update throughout the year with all the movies and shows that I watch. So I hope all of you are having a great week, and I'll see all of you in my next video. Until next time, goodbye.